To me, this is exactly how it feels to be the spouse of an entrepreneur. It's like when somebody convinces you to go into a roller coaster and you're like, I don't really like rides, but they're like, come on, let's go, it's gonna be fun, you're gonna love it. So you finally get in, and as soon as this thing starts going, you're like freaking out, let me out, stop this thing. Well, the reality is there's no stopping. Once it's on, you better buckle up and just enjoy the ride. And that's exactly how I felt. And one of the things that was the hardest was to find my role into this new thing called entrepreneurship. When we had jobs, it was easy. There was defined boundaries, set schedules, we had paychecks going into our bank accounts, and it was pretty simple. Because before having a business, we had jobs, and in our job we have very defined roles. So I got to be the director of HR for a company Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, and then I used to come home and be the mom and get to be the wife, and on the weekends I got to be even myself when I was going out with some friends. So it was very structured, and when we started our business, then life gets messy. You are no longer an employee who does something. Is not what you do anymore, it's who you are, and your whole normal starts to change. The dynamics of your family start to change. And that's why I wanted to create this video, to give you a little bit of an insight on how different roles I had to play actually influence the success of our business. And I want to show you how doesn't matter what role you decide to have in this crazy journey, each one of them will actually impact the success of your business, but also the success of you as a marriage, and a family. And there's so much power into whatever you decide to do and whatever role you get to play. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about is, when my husband started this business 4 years ago, one of the things that helped me the most was actually to find different couples, people who had done it before, people who had already traveled this journey, and that gave me a very good insight about their challenges and their commitments in regards to money and time, and also time frames, what to expect at every point in our journey, so that I had actually realistic expectations. But the thing that actually I learned the most by talking to these people was there was a relationship between the amount of support they got from their spouse and the level of success they were able to see. I realized that the longer it took me to be committed to our business, to be part of it, and just to get it, it was actually going to affect the speed at which we were going to be able to succeed in our business. So when I realized the huge impact that my support and commitment had into this journey, I was like, this is it, I'm in. I don't want my business to suffer, or our business to suffer, just because it's taking me too long to actually get it. So that's when I decided to go all in, and I started to figure out what role I was going to play. So the first role that I have to take on, and this role is actually so important, and if anything, if you want to have anything that to do with the success of your business, I think this is number one. Doesn't matter what you decide to be, the number one thing you need to become is your spouse's cheerleader. You need to become their most raving fan. This is going to be the most important role you can actually play, because entrepreneurship is not easy. There's so many moments when you want to just give up, when things make no sense, when you get hit by every angle, your clients, the economy, their inventory, providers. There's so much going on that at least you want to make sure that they know you have their back. Then when they come home, when they talk to you, you're gonna speak encouraging words, and you're gonna be that coach in their corner that is gonna be cheering up for them, and that is going to be waiting for them to come home and then just patch their wounds and just say, hey, you are doing great, and encourage them. So the number one role that I think everybody, every spouse, every mother, every friend can actually impact an entrepreneur is being their number one fan, their cheerleader. So I had to learn that was the most vital thing that I could do. So number one role, be the cheerleader. Number two, I became a walking billboard for my business, for my spouse. So anything that had to do with our business, I was always talking possibly very positive about it, and I became this again raving fan. And the way that I was talking to people about our business and about our products and about my husband was always positive and uplifting. Even in the early stages where my belief was not the strongest, I still actually, the way that I saw our business, the way that I talked about it, just talk about your business in a very powerful way. Your perspective about your business is going to attract incredible things. You're going to become a magnet for great things, for new clients, for more people to want to join your business. So you have to really embrace that and talk about it in a very positive way. Again, when in the earlier stages where I was not actually sure about what it was or if it was going to work, I still talk about it in a way that everybody was attracted to it, and in a positive way that actually could have a beneficial effect in the way that others saw our business. So it doesn't matter in what industry you are in. If your spouse is selling cupcakes, make sure you tell everybody they're the best cupcakes in the world. If your husband is doing, I don't know, selling cars, you need to go and talk to my husband. You need to make sure you're a walking billboard, and the way you talk about it is the way that people are going to perceive it. And on top of that, it's going to build tremendous confidence in your spouse about what they're doing. So that's the number two role. So cheerleader, and then walking billboard about your business. But now in regards to actual roles that I had to play during these 4 years. So at the beginning when we started, I had a business, I had a career. So I was working, I had a very good job. And when my husband started this business 4 years ago, we decided that, I had to work. I had to actually finance this dream of ours, right? And I had to be financially sustaining their business and our family. So at the beginning, that was my role. And for all of you out there that have to do this, I get you. It is very challenging. And a lot of the times, spouses don't want to talk about it because they don't want to be judged. They don't want to be seen as unsupportive. But I want to tell you that I get you. Many times when I speak to spouses, when I talk to them, I don't see unsupportive spouses. All I see is people that are really fearful of the future, or that they're not sure if they're actually investing in something that is going to be good for their families and for their finances. So it's a very scary path. But let me tell you, what you are doing is incredible. And I know it's hard because I've been there. And I remember when I was in that position where I had to go to work, I had a job, right? And then in order to provide this financial stability to our family. And then after coming from work, I had to take care of the kids. And then it just seemed like I was just always doing something. I was working at my job, coming home, and no rest, right? So it was really tough spot. And besides that, also financially it was tough because you're working, but all the money is going towards your household bills, and it's also going towards your business. So you feel like, okay, this is making no sense. And you start getting a little bit resentful because you're like, what's going on? I'm working so hard. I'm not even able to enjoy my own money. And then on top of that, I come home and after a long day of work, and there's no stop because now I have to look after the house and the kids. And it is a very tough spot for a supportive spouse. And the hardest part is that they don't want to talk about it because they don't want to be seen as unsupportive. So first of all, remove the guilt. We get it. It is a very tough spot to be. But what you need to realize is it's not forever. This is going to be only temporary, and you're going to see the results of all the sacrifices. Like right now, I did that at the beginning, but now I realize that by doing that, my husband was able to build this business that now allows me to not have to have a job. And I get to decide if I want to go to the office, or I want to stay with my kids, or I want to stay by myself and just send the kids to school and then just enjoy the freedom of owning our own lives. So it's so worth it. And I get it. Financially, it's also really challenging because you feel like, okay, I'm working this hard, but all my money is going towards our business and our family, and I don't even get to enjoy it myself because sometimes you even feel guilty of buying, I don't know, a cup of coffee. So my advice to you is, number one, understand that this is not forever. This is the price you will pay, but it's going to pay out like tenfold. It's gonna be incredible. The other thing is, I would highly recommend you to set aside a little bit of money for your own self. Like you can spend, I don't know, whatever it is, $100 a month. This is my money. I earn it. I'm gonna do whatever I want with it. That really provides you with something to look forward to and removes that, sour feeling of I'm working, but I'm just not enjoying the fruits of my work. So that's one of my biggest advice, is doing that. And just know that by you doing that, and I know it's hard because you don't feel like you get any rest, you're actually allowing your spouse to build something so amazing, so big, that you don't even have, eventually you won't even have to have a job. So they are going to pay off, like, believe me. So number two, the second role that I had to play after, like, I was like financing our business and our family for a little while, then I had to go on mat leave, and it was not my choice. I was having a baby, so I had to take time to actually have the baby and care of the baby. So in that moment, I became a stay-at-home mom. And I know there's many of you right there out there that actually have to fulfill that role right now, while your spouses are the ones building this business. So that is also very challenging position, because I remember when you're a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad and your spouse has a regular job, you get to pass the flag. You're like, okay, I'm with them in the morning, but then as soon as you come from work, here it is, here are your children, take them, right? But when you have a business, that doesn't happen. It's just like the clock doesn't seem to stop. It's just like day and night. And I remember those days, and I remember feeling like my husband was my tenant. Like he will just come home, eat and sleep, and do it all over again for a period of time. So that was tough, because I had to do it all. I had to care for the kids, care for the house, do all the chores, all the extra stuff that I was used to just delegating or getting help. And then I had to do it all. So it was really tough. And it really gets you, because sometimes when I was actually working, I got a little bit of a rest by going to the office when I had a job. But when I became a stay-at-home mom, I didn't have any rest. I just had to keep going, and it was tough. So if you are that person right now and staying at home, holding the fort, let me tell you that your role is so critical, so important, because the success of your spouse, but also the way that your kids are going to look at the business, is totally in your hands. It's a huge responsibility. So my advice for the stay-at-home parents that are the ones holding the fort, number one, enjoy the fact that you get to just spend those moments and those memories with your children. Don't think, not even for 1 second, that your spouse that is building this business is actually avoiding coming home and helping you. They're actually making these sacrifices and not being at home enough, because they are doing it for you, so that you get to enjoy them. So if you are the one staying at home, just treasure these moments. Feel the blessing of being able to spend this time with your children, and be grateful. Like, I remember when I was staying at home, I used to like take pictures of me and my kids going to the library and doing different stuff, and just sending them to my husband, and just being like, thank you, I'm so grateful that you are making all these sacrifices so that we can spend all this time together. And that served as fuel for his fire, and that really gave him that extra push to go out there and then just go all in. So number one, enjoy it. if you're the stay-home parent, but also let's get perspective. Let me tell you, put you in a position where, how about your spouse had a job and then they were sent overseas, or they had this huge project and they tell your spouse, hey, you're going to be working like any number of hours for this period of time. Would you also be willing to do that? I think many people are actually willing to do that more than they are willing to sacrifice time when they are building a business. And that's just about perspective, right? How about if your spouse was offered this huge promotion or this huge raise as long as they can work nonstop for a period of time? Take this business as that. This time commitment is a promise that you're going to see the results eventually. It's not forever. So let's just get perspective. If your spouse was promised a raise or a better position, if they worked this amount of time, or they were away for this many months of the year so that they can fulfill this job, would you do it? And just take it as the same. And my other advice in regards to stay-at-home parents is, make sure that when they come home, they get to not only have a list of chores that they need to complete, and that took me a while to understand, but when they come home, that they can actually get to enjoy, if you guys have kids, to enjoy your kids. And if you guys don't have kids, that they get to enjoy you rather than a bunch of less chores in a list, because they're out there trying to make it all worth it for you. So when they come home, make sure that they also get to enjoy you and your kids if you have kids. Especially if the spouse out there is a mom. Like, guys, we as moms already deal with so much guilt of not fulfilling our roles and not seeing our kids enough, and it's already very challenging. So I'm not saying that the guys out there don't go through that, but we as females, it's just something that is in our nature. So when we come home, we want to hear all the amazing things, and we want to get to enjoy you guys as well. So that's for the parents that are staying at home holding the fort. And the last thing for me is, after I was financing our business and our family, then I got to actually be the stay-at-home mom, and finally I decided to make the jump. And since my husband and I had very similar skills and very relatable skills, I decided to join the business, and that was pretty amazing, but also was very challenging. So I'm gonna make another video about how to actually work with your spouse, which is a different ball game altogether. That will be for next time. But I want to close with this, and this message, the last piece of it, is not for the spouse, it's actually for the entrepreneur himself. I just want to tell you guys and gals, you that are out there, be patient with us, be patient with your spouse. For us, we miss you, we love you, and we are trying to figure out our new roles in this crazy journey. So be patient, and also make sure that every minute counts. Every minute that you're out there working hard, and we are here holding the fort or working for you so that you can actually have the time and the money to actually pursue this huge dream. Make sure that you make every second count. That when you are out there, you're giving it your all, because your loved ones, are counting on you. Okay, so God bless you guys. See you next time.